plus years. And there is no action item associated with this report. It's all good news, so no heavy lifting on your part. Chris?
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Madam Chair and Board, thank you for the opportunity to provide this update. On Discovery Square activities, this is an update on business and economic development activities. You may recall that we sometimes refer to Discovery Square as a live, work, play environment. It's on the south side of the main Mayo Clinic campus. And just a few short years ago, it was an area dominated by surface parking lots. And now out of that is an urban living environment where people are working, and soon people will be playing on Discovery Walk and living as well. So I'll give a brief update on this portion of the DMC district. So from a live perspective, now leasing, there are a number of places that are of residents that are leasing now that until a few short years ago were not there. You have the residents at Discovery Square that has actually been housing UMR students. There's an entire floor of UMR students living in the residences Discovery Square, which is in the picture on the right-hand side. You have the Maven, the Hugh, 501 First, Metropolitan Marketplace, which was actually an early adopter to that area before DMC began. And then there's many other legacy housing options. What's notable then, as this is part of the housing solution for downtown, if you look at the census data from 2020, Olmsted County growth was approximately 13%. The core downtown district showed a 28% growth in residency over those years. And as we did an analysis of who was living downtown in partnership with the RDA, we found there's a lot of early career professionals that are living there, and there are actually a lot of late career downsizers who are also living downtown. So the mix of people living in the core downtown has been evolving as housing options have arisen.
Just pause before you move on, just to note, based on the prior conversation about surface parking lots, every one of these projects listed in those bullets is replacing a surface parking lot. It's happened over 7 years, so it didn't happen overnight, but every one of these was on what was largely a surface parking lot.
Thank you. From an economic development perspective, 3 Discovery Square discussions are underway, and I think we'll be hearing a little bit more about that today. 2 Discovery Square, the core and shell is done. They have their certificate of occupancy. There are leasing discussions underway for space on every floor. And you'll be hearing from Mike Flynn later about the lead generation engine that is ramping up. We heard earlier from Doug Holton, about the Mayo Clinic Kellen building and the parking ramp that's under construction. So that's all really tied to the economic development activities and the job creation activities.
Just pause there for a second, back to this other one. So again, based prior questions that were asked, this is Discovery Square is an example of the integration of Mayo and the community, in that this is Mayo-owned property that 1 and 2 and potentially 3 Discovery Square are being developed on. And the parking ramp that Doug mentioned was designed and developed with the private sector in mind as well.
Right, and we sometimes, you've perhaps heard us refer.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Could I just ask a question about the leasing of Discovery Square 2?
Yes.
Is it on schedule? Is it where we'd like it to be? Because I understand that the last item that we're going to get to, Discovery Square 3, is really dependent upon where we are with the actual signed leases in 2. Are we on schedule, or I assume we're probably a little bit behind schedule?
Well, I'm not sure we really had a schedule for when we would be at certain percentages of space leased. I'll say that there are conversations with numerous companies on every floor. The decision making of the developer on 3 Discovery Square is based on some of their internal calculations of what the market demands are. I will say that the projected use of 2 Discovery Square initially was more office based around digital health, and COVID has sort of changed that calculus a little bit. And so the building has actually been repositioned during construction to be more of a wet lab centric operation.
Are there any tenants in 2 yet?
Not yet. No.
Member Carlson.
Just follow up and ask if that's something that we could add targets to on the schedule for leasing.
Sure. They've put together some strategy for how we do that. Many of those decisions are out of our control, of course. It's up to company decisions, but we can come up with something for sure. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? All right, continue.
Right, thank you. And the last update here is on Discovery Walk. We heard earlier a comment from Jamie Rothie about the business forward lessons learned from Heart of the City, and those have been applied to the Discovery Walk. So that construction has begun. This board approved that project last year along with City Council, of course. And we're starting at the south end. This is a 4-block linear park running from 6th Street to 2nd Street along 2nd Avenue. And we're starting at the south end and working our way northward. So the 500 block now is under construction, and actually part of the streetscape on the 400 block has been opened up a little bit too as they're working their way northward. There are daily conversations with the construction team and the construction partners, with the businesses and the residential units that are operating there. So that business forward lessons learned around Heart of the City are really starting to bear fruit on this particular project, as signage and communications and mitigations of things that pop up inevitably in construction projects are being addressed.
Yes, Member Ryback, go ahead.
Thank you. One of the things I just want to make a point of here is I'm so pleased with Discovery Walk. It was not on our original agenda. The idea was to build buildings. I think Patrick deserves a ton of credit. A lot of people do, but on how to really weave this together. But if you talk about live, work, play, the ability to go to the world's top medical institution and in a few blocks get to Soldiers Field and walk by a creek or golf, this is amazing. You cannot do that in, say, Cleveland. What's really important about it is we got to finish this thing. Okay, I know we've had big discussions about how far this goes, how fast it goes, and all that. I am rock solid committed to making sure that we connect this to Soldiers Field, because what that does is it brings green into the heart of the city. And there's green all around this downtown, but there's not a lot of green in the downtown. And this is a huge thing. So I just want to say, I know this has been something that people have talked back and forth about, but this should be something that we stand strongly behind.
Yes, Member Carlson.
I feel like I'm talking about today, but I totally agree, and I'm hoping as City Council starts to talk about the direction of DMC next year, budget priorities, that Soldiers Field is identified as one of those priorities.
Thank you. And in terms of timeline, this portion of that stretch from 6th Street to 2nd Street, the 500 and 400 block are on schedule to be completed this year, and then the 300 and 200 block next year. So right now, this particular portion projects to be completed at the end of construction season next year, 2023. And then it's up to the decision makers on what we do southward to make that final leg into Soldiers Field.
Member Campbell.
Well, I'm a broken record on this issue, but I must bring it up at every meeting. I'm totally in favor of Discovery Walk. I think it's wonderful. But I know the Mayo owns that empty block between the Hilton Building and Discovery Square. And I want to make sure that when Mayo decides to develop that block, the subway is extended from the Hilton Building to Discovery Square, so you can get there without having to go outside in the winter.
Right. Heard you loud and clear.
I think I see Mr. Holton nodding as well. So yes, I think everyone expects you to raise that comment, and we'd be disappointed if you
I will
didn't.
do it every meeting.
Thank you. I think the comments reflect the importance of trying to achieve our goal for animation in the downtown area, and it's hard to do that just through a business use. It's the creating a place where people have the opportunity to live, and there are amenities that make it a desirable place to live and play off business hours. It's a complicated algorithm to achieve that perfect chemistry, but this is a big step in that direction, and we appreciate the update on this. Member Carlson.
Sure. Just very important to think about the activation of the corridor as well. So not only the building of the space, but how do we make sure we get people there and really nurture the businesses along the corridor, along the walk, to be engaging and opportunity to sit outside and just as we're talking about for other spaces we're developing in the city.
Right, that's well said. You know, we tend to think of our activation activities around the heart of the city, and now this is an area that hasn't been activated because it's been surface parking lots. So extending that vision of activation to a broader part of downtown is important.
And we appreciate that there's a schedule of work yet to be accomplished this year and next, so it may take a while to accomplish that goal. Can we proceed, or do you have more?
That is it.
Okay, Patrick,
Thank you.
any additional comments?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that. Is there any additional comments that you want to provide on the proposed 3 Discovery Square?
Madam Chair, that'll come up under item D, private development.
Okay,
So
great.
We'll have